Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Buy Where Now. God, we got to come up with something clever. Mike, we got to come up with something clever like the Buy Where Now. I don't know. We'll have to work on that, guys. But today I am super excited to announce that we have a pretty hot topic, cryptocurrency. All the ins and outs, kind of, maybe not all the ins and outs, but if you want more information, we can definitely hook you up with our featured speaker this morning is Zach Bass. He is a financial planner with Edward Jones. He's been with Edward Jones for 6 years. And I know Zach, and I know he was a very young investor when he was young. He comes from a long background of a family of accounting. So numbers is definitely his jam. So his Edward Jones office is located in the East Hampton area. So without further ado, Zach, take it away and teach us some info on cryptocurrency.
Well, I want to thank you, Danielle, for inviting me today, and thank you guys for taking the time out. As I was mentioning, I think today is going to be a little bit more informal, and wanted to just walk you through a few of the topics that I was going to talk about today. Before going any further, I do want to put out the disclaimer that a lot of this information that I'm about to go through is independent research that I have done. And for anyone listening or tuning in later, or viewing this later, I'd really recommend talking with your own financial professionals, accountants, lawyers, everything else before making any decisions, as this world has been for many years and will continue to be very complicated. But today I thought that we could cover a few brief topics on A, how we got here, B, the current state of affairs, how things are treated, interesting new advances with mortgages and loans that some companies are taking on, and last are just other basic tax and legal considerations to discuss with those professionals if you do decide to get into this realm. So if you do have any questions, I did plan out about 45 minutes for this. Don't intend on talking, even though that's my job, to talk and ask questions. Don't intend on doing that the entire time. But let's start diving in. So as you know, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, these words have been popping up more and more over the last few years. It started out in 2011, 2012, but since 2017, 18, seemed to be more a daily word that we're hearing either with friends, family, sometimes the news outlets. But I thought that we would get started with a brief history of what is money, because it's been different throughout the years. And is cryptocurrency currently treated as such? Pre-1900, the world was on, realistically, a barter system. You know, it could be trades for goods or services were treated as currency, right? And we've always had a little bit of a infatuation with gold and silver, and we'll get into why those were chosen as kind of the standards in a few moments. But it really wasn't that we went on the gold and silver standard in the United States until 1990. In 1971, FDR removed the gold standard, and since then we've been on a system that is just putting our full faith and credit in the governments in which we live. Some call it fiat, but that's really all it is. And I did think that it's important to note why gold and silver were chosen as the two main elements that we considered the backing for a currency. And realistically, there are 5 characteristics that made them very attractive to people. The first is that they're solid at room temperature. very hard to base something like air or water, something that you can't hold in your hand. Second is that it's not radioactive or explosive. If you are holding it in your hand, you don't want to lose it. The third is that it doesn't melt at a reasonable temperature. So making these into bullion or coin or anything else has been very, very simple throughout many years in history. Unlike copper or many other elements, it will not rust. It will not erode. If you put gold or silver into water or saline water, anything, it will remain in that state, and that's very important when it comes to what we're going to consider those precious elements, precious metals. And the last is it's rare, it's scarce, but it's not too rare. It can be found excavated or anything else. So those are the main properties and why gold and silver have been so prevalent in our history going back thousands of years. Now, where we are today is, we hear these words, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and everything else. And why have people gotten involved, or why have they gotten an interest? And there are many reasons out there. Going back to, let's take it back to 2008, the financial crisis, right? We had a lack of trust in our financial systems. We had large government interventions coming in, bailouts with companies, a rise in the lack in trust of government. But also since that time, there have been a lot of technological advances, and I use this example quite frequently in my office. You know what it's going to take to get this out of my hand, pocket, or eyesight? And the answer is a lot. Everyone has a cell phone today, and that technology has made it very simple for people to transfer monies or get online access. And we're seeing this not only in this space, but also Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and all the others as well. So that has really taken a lot of pressure off in availability to information put on the individual person. And the last thing, people might be looking for other ways to invest, not trusting the stock market, no offense to some of the bankers here, not trusting banks, going back to the Depression, going back to 1992, when we had 120 banks across the United States declare bankruptcy, and millions of dollars being paid out in FDIC insurance. But there are many reasons that people have gotten involved in this space. So how is it treated today? Is it a currency? In the technical term, you could say yes, because we could take it back to the days of the barter system, right? What are you willing to pay for this asset? What are you willing to buy or sell this good for? But right now, in the eyes of the U.S. government, this is treated as property, same as a car, the same as a house. This might be an analogy that some of you remember, or a product that some of you remember. This could be treated as the Beanie Baby collection. So when it comes to it, that is how, at least in today's day and age, that is how these assets are treated. And some folks throughout the United States have made quite a bit of money, at least on paper, utilizing these properties or assets. But when it comes to buy and sell these, there are definitely tax simplifications that need to be considered. Buy a property, buy a stock, whatever it is, and I'm going to use a simple example. Buy something for $100, sell it for $150. There's a $50 gain. That's in today's day and age, that's called a capital gain. So when people go and they do a traditional mortgage or go out for a loan, and Danielle, you can speak a little bit more clearly on this or get into some more detail, but that's not how much money you make in that realm is not really what traditional banks or traditional finance is looking for. They're more looking for your debt to income ratio. They're looking for earned income and what they expect that you'll take in on a yearly basis. Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong, but even a business owner that can show income, well, that's fine and dandy. However, there needs to be 2 years of income to get 2 years of income statements and everything else to get approved for most loans, mortgages today.
Right. Absolutely. So how is crypto? I know in our world, the mortgage world, and Mike, jump in too if you feel, if you've got some insight into it, is that now it's really we're going to be seeing a shift of whether we can use it as reserves. Can we use it as money can be utilized as a down payment down payment money? Because as we know, we have to, any large deposits, we definitely have to source and season it. So are you seeing, Zach, that cryptocurrency is in fact seasonable and sourceable, if that's a word, income? I mean,
Yeah, so that is what I was actually about to hop into. So thank you for asking. The way that some financial institutions are now viewing this, because you can be property rich but not show an income stream, if you're looking for those types of loans or mortgages, is they're doing joint collateralization. And you might be familiar with this from business owners trying to start up, but might not have the capital to go out and get a loan when they're in the first processes. Most times we see this in forms of life insurance. But realistically, what happens is a person will come in and say, there's just a shift on the monitor, and it confused me for a second. The person will say, Danielle, I have this asset, and I'm willing to put it up as collateral for the house or property. So it becomes a joint ownership. And at that point, the individual that had it is the only one. They don't need to sell any of their assets or investments. However, the bank or financial institution that goes to approve these loans or mortgages will say, if this asset falls in terms of value, we retain the right to do a margin call or sell a portion of that to cover any debts outstanding.
Zach, oh, sorry. I thought you were, Rocco had a question. I don't know. I know we're getting close in time, and I just know that YouTube is very sensitive. So Rocco, why don't you ask away?
Okay, thank you. Zach, so you use the terminology that this is almost like the Bean Baby era that I know of, because I have 5 daughters, and when they're little, my ex-wife bought tons of Beanie Babies, but then, it was a fad. And when the fad was gone, they weren't worth anything. And I'm still on, one of these old timers that believes in stuff you can touch, like gold, like silver, or even stocks. When you're buying stocks, you're not buying paper of the stock. You're actually buying in a company that you believe is going to make a lot more profit to make that income that you buy into higher, so you can sell it and make more money on it. So my question is really, I don't understand it. And if it's a fad, am I investing in something, and then all at once the fad goes away and I lose out because I'm not really, don't have anything tangible in my hand. I'm one of these guys that is still having a hard time understanding it. And you did a good job in the beginning to try to explain it, but I'm still lost. If you can maybe make me a believer. My daughters, on the other hand, they all bought it. They're all into it, and they're in the, they're in the 28 to 30 year age, so they understand it more than I do.
Sure. So this is me taking it back to my own personal beliefs again in terms of what's going on. Is it a fad? Is it the wave of the future? I think that it's what your own personal beliefs are, and I don't. It's a speculative asset, just like those Beanie Babies or Pokemon cards that were collected those years ago. Again, this is my personal belief that it is a whole bunch of kind of like 1999 in the tech bubble and everyone trying to solve the crisis of Y2K. They're trying to develop their own technology, small companies trying to develop their own technology and not being put on the stock market right now. And if you want to do the research on what they are trying to achieve, everyone has their own little microcosm that they're trying to fill, whether it be a more decentralized finance, whether it be more royalty payments for music artists and ways to generate income from that. It stems out into who is trying to fill what need in this digital age that we're in. And like I said, it's not for everyone.
I have another question. So Susan, how do you guys, if somebody came to you with a large deposit of their cashed in crypto, have you been presented with this option? Is that sourceable income? Do you have to do anything with the reporting of it?
I have no idea. I've never been approached with that. It really hasn't even come up at any of our meetings at this point.
Huh.
So I'm not really sure how they would look at that. I'll have to check at the next meeting.
It's just curious. I'm just curious because from a lending perspective, they're saying, okay, yes, we can use those funds, but they have to be liquefied. Is that
Right.
my pronunciation? I have question marks, but
Friday.
but yeah, but I mean, so we have to see that funds in the bank account in order to use that. So, I mean, like, so what kind of reporting does the bank have to have? So that's kind of, those were my questions that I've been brought up. And I'm hearing a lot of buzz about, I think the last thing, I think I sent you the article, Zach. I don't know if you read it, but it's this one bank that's catering really towards cryptocurrency and getting a mortgage with solely that. I think that's what I read. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I know mortgage companies now are allowing cryptocurrencies for their mortgage payment. Like if you want to pay your mortgage with the cryptocurrency, that's being allowed. But yeah.
Yeah. So there are different financial institutions out there that will allow for different treatments. The joint collateralization in the bank kind of saying, hey, we're willing to put this up as collateral. However, if it fluctuates price, we're going to force it to be sold. It has become more commonplace because if a financial institution right now forces the sale for it to be in cash, that would be a taxable event.
Right.
And so it allows the bank or the financial institution to have some sort of backing and saying, hey, if this falls to X, Y, and Z price, we're going to force you to sell legally. However, the other party involved, the lendee, blanking on the term Friday, but that would allow them to either do more trading to get the income or have less of a W-2 1099 income or earned income. They have the backing over on this end saying if this falls in price, we're forcing the sale. However, we have this income from either trading activity or any other form of earned income, so that
Hmm.
it reduces the need for that debt to income ratio that we were talking about.
If I can jump in, I could see that, again, from the residential lending perspective, maybe in the near future, we'll get our first borrower who says, I'm being paid in crypto. And
Ugh,
then again,
Jesus.
yeah, but that's going to be the issue that I think that Zach is talking about. It's like, okay, well, I need to see a W-2, I need to see a pay stub, I need, how do you quantify what a crypto payment is, and how does the IRS view it? Then how would we view it?
Yeah.
And then on the back end, it would be, as Danielle mentioned earlier, that, I see the cashing out a crypto account and turning it into, a down payment, for example, that's where the 20% is coming from. It'd be just like, stocks. I mean, if you're liquidating stocks, we'll accept that. We'll accept even borrowing against a 401k, and we can show that chain of distribution, going from one to the other. So I think that is probably more of an easier thing for us to do, because we'll actually have that the currency sitting in a traditional bank account that we're going to use for 20% down. It's the first guy that's going to go, or the first person that's going to go, yeah, I'm part of my compensation package is a cryptocurrency, and how are you going to treat that when you're doing your DTIs? So I think it hasn't happened yet that I'm aware of, and I don't know how the banks would view that. And then to tag on to what Rocco was saying is earlier about, I just don't get I know, you mine gold, right? You print currency, maybe too much these days, but how do you create, I hear these stories about, massive computers churning away to create cryptocurrency. That's what I don't understand, is what is a cryptocurrency and what is it backed by?
And Mike, just to jump on that real quickly, what you said though is if you take that crypto into the account of your mortgage, or even you put it into into a location where you say, okay, I have crypto stuff now for the security deposit. What happens if the crypto goes down? Then the bank is taking the hit on it.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Well,
in
again,
saying
it would be we wouldn't accept crypto as the payment. They would have to convert it into
Okay.
cash.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
but again, maybe in the future it will be we'll have to cross that bridge. I don't know how soon that will be, but those are just my thoughts.
So you bring up a lot of good points, and Danielle, I don't know how much time we have left.
We don't have any.
Oh no, it's done.
Yeah, we could have you come back as a second segment.
Okay. It's literally out.
Well, no.
Because I
I'm good, but it's just I know YouTube viewers don't go much farther. We're not.
Okay.
I don't know how exciting this conversation is, but I
Okay.
love it. But I mean, I don't know. But I try to keep it to 15 minutes. So, if anybody has any questions, I'm gonna add your stuff. I'll tag you on the social page. So people know how to get a hold of you, if that's good with everybody.
Yeah. If everyone has just 2 other seconds, I can answer some of those questions. So Mike, actually, I work with an individual, I know of an individual, that in 2015 said my payment for my business that I'm going to sell you is 1 Bitcoin per month. And that has gotten very expensive for that individual. And tracking the basis I would hate to be their accountant. So it is being done. That was the earliest that I've seen it, but it is becoming a little bit more commonplace. And then Rocco, to the point that you made, when it comes to how is the bank protected, that joint collateralization that I was talking about is generally 100 to 150% of the loan that they're asking for with those financial institutions that are allowing that.
Huh. pretty amazing. And this is just stuff that is gonna be coming down, and I'm seeing it more and more at, you know, as I read stuff and try to stay up on things. So again, any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you, Zach, for your wealth of knowledge and your education. I always look to you for advice with these things, because I definitely know you're the hipster on it. So I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule. It's tax season. I know it's nuts. So I thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Danielle,
Zach.
I will give you, thank you guys. If you get the email, have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And then I've got, again, just if anyone is still here, just before doing any of this, consult with your attorneys, consult with your CPAs, consult with your financial professionals to be able to make the best informed decision.